poverty mindsets are rooted in fear.
Yeah.
It's a fear that if I give, I'm going to be less than. I'm going to have less.
To talk about your favorite, which is abundance, because I love abundance.
Oh, abundance. I don't even know if it's my favorite. It probably is one of my favorites.
Well, you speak about it very well,
especially now, because this, I have this seasons in my life where I call them buzzwords. When I have a particular word that just keeps showing up, and I'm learning about it. And abundance is the season I'm in. Is a season of abundance, and I don't mean wealth. That would be nice. I don't mean
one day.
Well, it's happening.
Amen.
Not one day. We're in abundance. We're in abundance. And what it is I've learned a number of lessons. Again, this is on the podcast, and we're doing like a whole mini series on the mindset, cultivating an abundance mindset, because it really is a mindset. My thing with abundance. Let me start with my pet peeve. My pet peeve is when I see people touting on social media or wherever they are, promising people a purposeful life, a successful life, a content life, and it's all tied to money.
Yeah.
That's my pet peeve.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's so unfair.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that, because it's also possible that the people who are doing this don't actually know it.
Yeah.
But they're setting impossible standards for people.
That's right.
And telling people that if you don't have money, then you are failing behind. You're failing, or you've somehow fallen behind. And that's not true. So when I talk about abundance, it's not with regards to material things, because I believe that we're made up of spirit, soul, and body. I go on about this a lot. We're made up of spirit, soul, and body. And you, as a human being, you exist in all three forms at any one time. Mm-hmm. But physical abundance with regards to material things is specifically for the physical part of you. What about your mind? What about your spirit? Mm-hmm. So abundance is, first of all, a mindset. It's a state of mind. And it's when you can find wealth and riches and resources within you, even if around you there's nothing.
That's right.
It means that just because you have a wardrobe full of clothes, or you have 10 cars in your garage, or you have homes around the world, that's not necessarily a sign of abundance.
No.
That's a sign of physical riches.
That's right.
But there's so much more to you than just that.
I think one of the things you also say is there's more currency than money.
There are other currencies.
There's other currencies besides define that.
So there are other currencies besides cash. This is what I learned when, if you don't know my story, I was living in the United States, having taken the big step of moving there with my family, and we had a great life there, and had wonderful business, and everything was going beautifully well. And then we lost everything. I came back to England and had to move in with a dear friend. And so lost everything. And then I started building my business from scratch again. But there was no resources. I had no money. I literally had nothing. I didn't have money to build a website. I couldn't pay for anything. And I had to, when the web designer told me how much he was going to charge me, and I realized that even if I had a tenth of that amount of money, I was going to use it to buy nappies for my newborn baby. I had to dig deep inside me to find other ways of getting this done. Mm. And one of the currencies was learning, knowledge, hard work. And so I learned how to build a website. And this was in 2008 when website building really was rocket science. So I learned how to build a website, and that was a currency. Mm. So even though I didn't have the cash, I had learning. That was a form of currency. Friends encouraging you, that's a form of currency. Because when you're in a place where there is no hope and there is no semblance of hope ever showing up, you know, and all you have is a friend that's telling you keep going, that's plenty. As a matter of fact, there are times that encouragement will go further than money ever would.
That's right. And even, I mean, there's so many dimensions to that, because even your character, you as a human being, your character, a lot of times people will do business with you not because of your physical location or what you show them physically. They just have a hunch about you. That if they bet on you, you will do well.
That's true.
That's a currency. Your actual character is a currency.
It's a currency.
And my sister's looking for a job, and she had to weigh up whether she takes a job that would give her more money or a job that would give her less money, but then she'll really love what she's doing. That's a currency. You need to have job satisfaction.
Absolutely.
You know, a job that gives you time with your family, so you're not selling your blood, you know, to them. You don't have time to even think. Sometimes people have loads of money, they're making good money, but then they have no time. And then they get burnt out and, you know, stressed, and they have breakdowns. Was the money worth it? So there's more, there's different types of currencies. And everyone, we need to recognize that to have a fuller life. Otherwise, we'll just be chasing one thing. And it's just about being content.
I agree 100%. And also, if you learn to find other currencies besides cash, you will also recognize other currencies besides cash.
That's right.
For example, you can recognize that building a relationship with a particular person will help you in ways that money can't help you.
That's right.
But if all you're after is money, then you know, you're gonna lose opportunities to grow, and you're gonna lose opportunities to build a good relationship.
And we know many wealthy people that are not happy. Money is not there. No, it's important. Obviously, it's important. We need to have money to build ourselves a comfortable life, but it's not the end all and be all. So, you know, when we talk about currency, the first thing people think about is money. When you get a job, the first thing people think about is the salary. But there's so much more to a job than a salary. It's about your environment, the people, you work with.
That's
what
so
you
important.
do. Does your job mean anything to anybody? Do you change people's lives in your day? Or are you just ticking boxes?
I agree.
So, you know, we've just got to think holistically.
I agree. And one of the lessons that I learned that really changed the trajectory of my life, every lesson seems to have done that, but one of the ones that really changed the trajectory of my life was learning to see myself as a river and not a pond. And this came about when and it was instrumental to having an abundance mindset or pursuing an abundance mindset. Because I came to understand that, so much. The invisible realm is superior to the visible. So the things you can see, they're limited. They actually have a beginning and an end. But the things you cannot see have a potential that can go on forever.
That's right.
And so learn not to pursue the visible things, but learn to pursue things that you cannot see. Being a river versus being a pond. A river is open at both ends. One end to receive from God, the other end to give into the world. Because rivers usually have a source and they have an outlet. They empty out into the ocean. And if you think about a river, you think about constant flowing water. You think of fresh water. You think of life. You know, this is where the animals go to drink from.
Right.
You know,
activity. It's exciting.
It's exciting. It's always moving. Whereas you think of a pond is a fixed body of water. And the water gets there perhaps by rain or precipitation. But once it's there, it's fixed. It's not flowing, it's not moving. And ponds tend to have lower life forms in them. That's where you find algae and shrimps and everything. You're not going to find salmon living in a pond. And so the way that a pond works for us, or how it applies to us, is if we have a pond mentality, then we believe that everything we have is all that there is.
That's right.
And as life deals with us, as you pay your bills and you deal with stresses and challenges and so on, your water is evaporating.
That's right.
Whereas if you have a river mentality, you can't even quantify what you have.
Flow.
It's a constant flow, and it's going to flow forever.
That's right.
And so seeing yourself as a river also means that there are times you will have moments when the flow is low. So I'm not saying that when you see yourself as a river, your bank account is always overflowing or anything like that, or everything's always going well. There are times that the flow slows down, but there is still a flow. There's still a trickle. Right. And wherever there is life, there is hope. So long as you wake up every morning and there is life, there's
always hope.
There's always hope, yeah.
And, there's a book, The Richest Man in Babylon, and he says that, he talks about that. It says that the wealth of a man is not the amount of money in his purse, but the amount of money that flows through his purse.
That's it. I still haven't read that book. I think you gave it to me.
You must.
I have to. I've got to make time to read it. But I absolutely agree. I agree. The difference between poverty and abundance, that's another one that's huge for me that I'm learning. A poverty mindset, you will find, if you've ever watched any of those hoarding programs, I stay away from those on purpose, but if you've ever watched any of those hoarding programs, you'll see people amassing so much stuff, being afraid to throw away things,
or give.
Or even to give, and that's a sign of abundance, is giving. Being afraid to throw away things. And what that means is that they're amassing things, and it's out of a fear that if I get rid of this, I'm going to need it, and I wouldn't have it anymore. And what I've learned is that, and I try to see life as a path. Your life is a path, and on that path, which is unique to you alone, are all the resources you need lined up, waiting for you on the path, as well as what you're carrying within you. So as you're journeying on the path, you get to a point where you have a need. The need's already been met. It's waiting for you. The solution to the problem is waiting for you on the path. But what we try to do when we have a poverty mindset is we want to take everything we can and drag it with us.
Yeah.
And we don't want to let go.
That's right. And with abundance, one thing I also know is that there's enough for everyone, people.
Yes.
We live in a world that there is enough for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to start it. Don't think that Coca-Cola's there, so Pepsi shouldn't be there.
No, but I think we should drink Coke, though.
You think we should do what?
Coke is better.
But Pepsi still exists. So whatever you want to do, just do it. There's enough for everyone. Don't think... There's people who don't even share their ideas. I don't get that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And that's another thing as well with and lack and poverty mindsets are rooted in fear.
Yeah.
It's a fear that if I give, I'm going to be less than. I'm going to have less. And it really is just a fear. It's not necessarily selfishness. I think that my father always says that human beings are basically good. I grew up hearing this over and over at the dinner table. Human beings, man is basically good. Dr. F says that all the time. And I believe that we're not created to be mean-spirited, selfish people. But circumstances cause us to build walls that keep people out. And sometimes those walls will be, fear is a wall, And so when people don't want to share, it's a sign.
But I think it's a culture as well. Like we live in a different place that there is this culture to amass.
Oh yeah.
And it's a thing that young people just want to be bigger and better and to amass.
Yeah.
So it's always I want for me.
Yeah.
But there is enough out there for all of us. And if you have that mindset, that's what you will find. Yeah. If you have a scarcity mindset, that's what you also find. So we need to change our mindset to know that, if I want to be a property developer, there are loads of places I can go to do it. You don't have to stick to London.
That's
they'll say London is saturated. Well, move somewhere else. Whatever you want, there's wherever you can get it.
I also think that people, besides wanting to amass so much, I feel like people think that the only place you can be is number one.
Yeah.
And so there is this invisible scale, measuring scale, that people measure themselves. Oh, she's doing that. Oh, we need to get higher.
Yeah.
Personally, as a business, we make it a business, make it our business, not to look at our competitors.
That's right.
For good reason. Like I don't look at my competitors. I don't check out what they're doing. You know, it's tempting to do that
they
sometimes.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, because I think that if we are being authentic in in what we produce, then there is only one version of us.
That's right.
Because every human being was created to be one version of themselves. You are an unrepeatable miracle.
That's right.
No, there will never be a version of Suzy or a version of you or a version of me. There'll never be a version of us. And so I don't look at our competitors for that reason. I may look at their reviews. Because what their reviews helps me to do is understand what the customer's pain points are. You know, my industry, the complaints are generally the same. So that's what we were like, you know, whatever happens, we're not going to get that kind of that complaint, because it's, you know, how can we circumvent having the challenge that this business has that's causing the customer to complain. So that's where it stays. But a lot of people are really, rather than pursuing their own dreams, they're pursuing the first place of someone else's dream. And I heard a quote somewhere, I can't remember who said it, that you cannot be better than, I can't remember how it goes. Do you remember? Something along the lines of, no one can be as good as, play your part as good as you, or something like that. Something like that.
Something like that. No, I feel like, I know you touched on a point. You said that sometimes people don't actually know what they want for their own life. It's like you see, or your parents have told you that this is how life should be.
Yeah.
A prime example is, as you know, I did property. And I met so many people who were living in London, but they were building homes.
Back in Africa.
And that's because that was the norm.
Yeah.
You know, when they first came over, the goal was to come over, work, and build a nice home back in Africa. But what I realized is that what they needed shifted. They now live in London. Their children are growing up in London.
And they're never going to go live there.
Their children have not lived there. Some of them are even gone to uni. And they ended up living in substandard accommodation because they're having big properties back home. So sometimes you need to really look at yourself and think, the dream I have, is it really my dream? Is it even relevant now? Or do I need to get myself a new dream? Because that house, you're not going to...
And
maybe that was a dream when you first came. But there's no need for that now. And you need to recognize that.
That's so true. A friend of mine recently went to Nigeria, and he went home to his state and said he was really saddened at the number of empty homes there are. Beautiful mansions, but all empty, because they're built by people who live here, and their children are never going to go back and live. I mean, some would. One thing we haven't talked about is how people deal with failure and challenges, and particularly young people, because I was speaking to someone recently, a while back, where she had called me for some advice. Now, this was a very simple decision that she needed to make. It wasn't, I mean, it was easy. And it's not
mind-boggling.
It wasn't mind-boggling. But she was so scared of the potential outcome not being what she wanted that she couldn't make the decision. And the truth about it is that if she had made a decision and it didn't work out, it wasn't going to have such a horrible effect on her. And so many people find themselves stuck and unable to make decisions because they're trying to avoid failure. Because what we have is every motivational speaker, every guru, every book is telling you 10 ways to be successful. Do this 5 things every morning that all the millionaires do and you'll be rich. And everyone talks about success and winning, how to do this, how not to fail. But no one really says how to fail. Because like you said, failure is a part of life. It's normal. We're expected to fail. We live in a fallen world. And so going through life and coming across failure is not necessarily a bad thing. And I think that we need to learn to redefine failure and call it learning.
Yeah.
Or call it whatever suits you.
That's right.
But don't call it a negative thing, because we would run away if we thought it was negative.
That's right. And I feel like the more you fail, the higher the chances of success. Because it means it's evidence of you trying.
Yeah.
But if you are not trying enough, then how are you going to get to where you want to get to?
Absolutely.
We're not perfect. We're learning as we go along. Failure is just an opportunity to learn what not to do again.
Yeah, exactly. So what didn't work? There's something that comes to mind is if you throw a net into the river, you want to catch some fish, you're also going to catch some stuff that you didn't plan on catching.
That's right.
But the more you throw the net, or the bigger the net, the bigger the crap you're going to get. But then the more the opportunities.
That's right. And don't be embarrassed about it.
I think true.
People are embarrassed that something didn't work out.
Yeah.
I got married, it didn't work out. Not embarrassed about it. I went to Ghana, came back, not embarrassed about it. I loved being in Ghana. I stayed out there for 3 years. And when I didn't like it anymore, I came back and carried on with my life.
Yeah.
Not embarrassed about it. You went to America.
Yeah.
It didn't work out.
It's not that it didn't work out. Let's call it what it is. it was a catastrophe. That was a fall flat on your face, come back to England empty-handed with nowhere to live type of situation.
And here you are.
And here we are. We survived it. But I was embarrassed and I was ashamed of my experience. And that led to me being so scared of networking events, because every time I went for a business event or a meeting, and they're like, "So Toks, how did you get started?" And I'll be wondering what to say, because I was so embarrassed about my story until I read about the ROCKSTAR story, and that changed my life. Everything I said has changed my life, and it's true. They're all small victories and small wins.
That's right.
But the ROCKSTAR story, I believe so much in the power of rewriting your story that I started doing a series of workshops on it earlier this year. Because if you change the way you see yourself, it would affect how you present yourself to the world, and it would help you to take opportunities where previously you would have shied away from. So that I was ashamed of my failure, but I learned that again, it's also because I was only ever reading about successful business people, and I never came across a business person a successful business person, at least in the public eye, that told their story about how they failed, and that's where it ended. We hear about Thomas Edison. We hear about Colonel Sanders, who founded KFC, and we hear that they had many failures and then success.
So many.
But the reason why it can be difficult for us to relate to those stories is because their successes are so huge that it obscures the failure that they experienced. And so I didn't know anybody who had a real life failure that I could relate to. And was either navigating it successfully or growing out of it, or just managing it well. And so I had to actually be my own success story, because that's what I told myself. If I cannot look at myself and be encouraged by me, then I'm in big trouble.
But where did you get that from?
My back was up against the wall. There was nothing left. I've looked everywhere. I've done all the things, and there was literally nothing left. And then I went on that authenticity journey and came to understand that living as the original version of myself was the best thing I could do for myself, because I could reach into me and get a hold of the gems that God had placed inside me. And so once I understood that, and I understood that inside me were precious, precious gems, I started to look within. I started to look inside me, and I slowly started to trust myself, And I believe that the answers that we seek are not around us. They're inside us, which is why you should live from the inside out.
And it's a process, you've gone through evolving. And I think it's important to keep evolving and keep learning.
Yeah, I agree.
And, hang around with people who are positive, people who will teach you. if you're the biggest person in every room you're in, then you have a problem. You know, you need to be room that there are people who you can learn from and who inspire you and who can pull you up. And then you need to be rooms that you can pull somebody up and you can teach somebody. And just be proud of who you are and be proud of your story, how little or how great it is. Be proud of it. And just be happy. Just go through, you know, life. Just, you know, even with, I mean, I'm going through a lot of challenges at the moment. But through it all, I'm happy. You know, I'm doing great things like speaking to Toks today. You know, I'm having fun. And, you know, you can go through challenges. You don't have to be down in the dumps about it. You know, we serve a great God. The world is so beautiful. There's so many wonderful things to experience. Don't let your challenges limit you or, you know, change your view of the world. It's a beautiful world out there, and you get what you put in, and you can make of it what you want to make out of it. So, you know, hold on to the negatives, hold on to the good people you have in your life. Hold on to the good people you have in your life, and just be happy. Be happy. Go and do great things.
I love that. We can talk for hours.
It's true.
We literally can go on and on and on for hours because we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, and I think it's therapy. You know, some people have to pay for therapy. This is free.
That is
we don't have to pay for therapy.
That's true.
So, you know, sometimes it's healthy. It's healthy to share ideas. Be careful who you share ideas with. Not everybody's positive. So people just beat down everything you throw at them. Even if you throw light at them, don't beat down.
They'll say it's not bright enough.
Yeah. So
why that light?
Yeah, it's not the right shade. So just be happy and hang around good people. Learn. Don't be afraid to be small. We all start from somewhere.
And remember that whatever it is you go through, grace is enough. Grace is intangible. Grace is not anything physical that you can see. So often it seems like there is no grace, like it's absent, but it's there. Just because it's not there doesn't, you can't see, doesn't mean it's not there. God's grace will stretch you through whatever it is you're going through. A lesson I learned during my most challenging seasons was that going through a challenge, it is possible to still be filled with joy, even though it's unpleasant. So you can be in a situation that you don't like, that you'd rather not be in, but you can still have the grace to go through it joyfully.
And it will carry you through. It literally carries you through. If you just hold on to the grace of God, it will carry you through.
It's like when you meet people or you hear situations that people have been in that you've never been in, and then you see them smile and you're like, how is she smiling? Like, if that happened to me, I'd fall apart. But yeah, it's grace.
The grace.
Yeah. But we really would love for you to share your thoughts, share your comments, share your own lessons as well. What have you learned? Out of all of the lessons we've pulled out, all of the information we've shared today, what stood out the most for you? Which one resonated the most with you? Would love to hear your views on that. Love to read your comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Till next time. Thank you so much, Suzy.
Oh, it's been fun. Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you.
You are amazing. Thank you for watching. See you later.
Bye.